Hi guys, how is everybody? How is everybody? Can you guys hear me okay? I haven't streamed in a week, so I want to make sure that you guys can hear everybody. Or that you, not that you can hear everybody, that you can hear me. Good, good, good. Findy, SC, hello, hello. All right, Paul, 18038 is here. Curly, HBIC. I am Mr. XP. Hi, PK Nut. Hi. Everybody can hear me. You believe in the power of good. Well, I would like to believe in the power of good. We'll see if the power of good. I don't. You know what? This is like there's a thing going on over here that I got to get rid of. There we go. Now we're back to normal. Okay. So, why are we here today? Why are we here today? Nerds in here. There's so many nerds in here, and it's going to get way nerdier before it gets less nerdier. This thing is going to put you all to sleep, I think. I've been better, Dormon69, but hi. Come and us at Dark Disney, haha, right. And I am still saying hello to the incognito Christine is triggered person who I probably know. Tuath, hello. Paul, SC, paperwork. There's so much paperwork. Okay, so we have today a potentially controversial subject to talk about. And you know, most of you who have seen me stream, you know that I try to limit toxicity in my life and particularly in my digital environments. So as a result, I have for the first time ever promoted 2 moderators to help me with this stream today, and we actually have moderation standards. So why don't we go through what those are first, just to set the table, and I will pop back to these moderation standards if we need them. But here we go. I want to start to talk about this because this is potentially, you know, people are going to start getting all like emotional, myself included. I'm going to try to control it. But oh yeah, I kicked him right. Yeah. Just watch. Just watch DT Ferg and see what you think. Okay, so here's my moderation standards for today. All right. So what's allowed? What is allowed today? Well, you can have any kind of denigrating language and criticism of me personally. This is my space, and if you want to say shitty ass things to me, go ahead. So examples of this would be to call me an old fat blimp cunt and the worst manager ever. Okay, that is absolutely allowed. You can do that, fine. What is also allowed is respectful criticism of other players and participants in this saga. So, if you were to say, anger shown by monkeys in streams was unreasonable, that would be a respectful criticism. If you were to say, player 8's hit rate is lower than most pro players, that would be a respectful criticism. That is allowed. Also, respectful discussion of roles and responsibilities and what transpired. Well, hello, Lucas. One of the stars of our show, and Amy, hi. KTM is lying, don't believe her. Oh, hello. Look at you go. Look at you guys with your names. So respectful discussion of the roles and responsibilities of what transpired. That is absolutely allowed. So if you were to say it looks like player 8 is at the core of this, that would be allowed. If you were to say, I think player 8 and streamer X engineered the whole thing, I think that would be allowed. The things that are not allowed. Not allowed. Denigrating language, name calling, or blatant shade at players on either side. So you are not to say monkeys are crybabies. You are not to say I could hit better than player 8 using my toes. You are not to say that player 8 is an asshole. Okay? That is basically, those are not okay. And then repeated abusive language of me is gonna get you banned or whatever because it gets distracting. So if you really want to call me an old fat blimp cunt many times, just do it on a different day. So, all right. So let's see. I have to go through here. Is it your turn? I don't know who you are, so I can't tell you if it's your turn. I see a whole bunch of people have followed me. I see people with, oh, hey, Shikyu is here. Hi, Shikyu. I see somebody who named themselves ScoRpioNMoNkeyS. So we've already got people who are going down the toxicity trail. That is really nice. Hi, Karina. How are you? Snow Havoc. Hello. Oh my gosh. So many of my friends and and former friends here. Well, still friends. Maybe still friends. Hello, Flashy McFlash. The reason I use player 8 is because there is no player 8. So player 8 is an example because there is no player 8 in the story. So, who's the mods? The mods are RT, Phantom RT, and Toby are my mods. They agreed to mod. I think they're probably here somewhere. So far, nobody has been too far out of line. Huts, are you player 8? Okay, Huts, you can be player 8. All right, here we go. So those are the moderation standards. So I'm going to go back, and I am going to walk through this. Hey, Burzy, how's Burzy? So 12 days from Magic to Mutiny. So the first thing that I want to talk about here is that indeed, when I first put this together, I thought it had been 12 days. And when I went back and looked at the calendar, it had been only 8. So I cannot do math. So that's the first thing I would like to admit. Yes, hello, Dissectatron. How are you? Hotsy. Fiction wants to get through it. Okay, come on. I'm enjoying this so far, Fiction. So far, you know, it's just fun. Okay, so what happened here? Let's go. I have to all right, so the first thing I just want to say is that we did something really super cool, okay? That we, the ScoRpioNMoNkeyS, did something really cool. We actually got a team qualified for Poland. And this was astonishing given the relatively short time period that we had been working on this. So it was really, really exciting. And the day that this happened, I remember sitting in this very spot with this team, and I literally was tearing up for how cool this was. It was so cool when the day that we did this. And I don't think anybody else is going to KTM is lying, don't believe her. I qualified for Poland. Yes, that's exactly what happened. This is going to be a one-sided load of shit. Well, it is my turn to tell this my side of the story. So I am going to do my best for it to not be completely one-sided and to be very, very, very transparent. So yeah, I'm going to try to be very transparent about everything. And some of you who know all the players are going to know who I'm talking about. I am not going to call out anybody by name. We didn't qualify for shit. Well, it does actually, the name ScoRpioNMoNkeyS does appear on the official tweet from ESL Clash of Clans. So was it me personally? No, I was not the player. But I did do all the organizing. Hi, Shady Boy. And Amy was actually broadcasting all of those. So, and yes, Demo is a god. That is actually true. Shide would be Streamer S. Just saying. I'm going to tell all the sides that I'm aware of. Okay, so here we go. We did something really cool. This was awesome. I thought it was great. All right. So let's talk about the timeline a little bit. Now I know this is a little bit of an eye chart, right? This is a little bit of an eye chart, but let's talk about this, okay? So what happened here over the span of my time with the ScoRpioNMoNkeyS? I'm going to go back, and it was probably last fall, like October, but it might have been a little bit earlier. I didn't actually go back and check the date of this video, but Carbon Finn had a thing on his stream with Hard Time, okay? And Hard Time was having trouble recruiting, and the clan was kind of dead, and they had this bet, and Hard Time, because Hard Time is who he is, Hard Time manages to triple live on a Carbon Finn stream, and thus winning a recruiting video from Carbon. And you can, the video where he did this, the VOD is no longer out there, so you can't watch it anymore, but that was really freaking cool. Anybody who saw that would have thought that was really cool, because it's clear that Carbon did not expect HT to get his triple, but he did, and then Carbon held up his end of the stick here, and HT is a god. So Carbon Finn had held up his, he did do the video, and he started recruiting. Now, what happened next is that there were a tremendous number of applicants trying to get into the ScoRpioNMoNkeyS. And yes, it was an awesome day. There were a tremendous number of applicants. Okay, so I was streaming, and many of you have seen my normal streams. I have kind of crappy gameplay in the middle of the day, and I play my game, and I kind of suck, and it's sort of a thing, right? So I'm doing my gameplay, and Hard Time is in there, and Hard Time is recruiting me. And I'm like, no, dude, I got this outliers thing going, right? I'm doing this outliers thing. I can't do ScoRpioNMoNkeyS because I'm doing outliers. Look at, I have a sign, right? So HT is recruiting me, and I'm resisting, and I'm resisting, and I'm resisting. But you know what? HT is persistent as fuck, okay? That guy is so fucking persistent that when he wants you, it's like he won't let you go, okay? And I thought about it, and I thought about it, and we did our thing, and you know what? Eventually I relented, and I said, okay, hard time, I am going to come, and I'm going to help you to run ScoRpioNMoNkeyS. So we decided to get together, and we decided to do that. Oh yeah, I'm Cancer. You know I'm Cancer. So, all right. So that's I joined in December. And yes, HT is the best recruiter in the world. Okay. So, let's talk about this. I joined ScoRpioNMoNkeyS in December to run the org. What does that mean? Okay, we had goals for the org. The org had goals to compete at the highest levels in the game around the globe, to be the best org in the game, which means for players, for fans, for sponsors, and for media. I wanted to be the best org in the game, as well as us competing at the highest levels. Financial viability had to be part of this, okay? Which means that long term, the org cannot lose money. And personally, I have had this commitment to inclusion, to non-toxicity, to sportsmanship. Now, I'm going to confess that I do not always live up to my ideals, but having those ideals means that I try to get those things to happen. Now, nobody's perfect. Sometimes I fuck up, just like everybody, okay? Everybody fucks up. But having those ideals is important to me. This commitment to inclusion, non-toxicity, and sportsmanship is important. All right. So what are the principles? Well, I had a couple of things that I thought were important as we started out this this thing. First of all, I thought that players should do what they do best, which is play, and that includes roster depth. You hear about some of these orgs where the players actually don't really get to play very much. That unless you're the top roster, you don't get to play. And one of the things I really wanted to do is to make sure that the players got to play, because you know what? That's why they're here. That's why they join. So, okay, here, ha ha ha. Why am I lying? I'm lying to you? I'm not really lying to you. Okay, the second principle, the org should take care of as much administrivia as possible. This meant that I did not expect the players to do very much at all in terms of administration. Okay, so I'm trying to like get through this and read your comments. Most of what I'm seeing so far is just you all bashing on me. Hi Lando, how are you? So yeah, all right. So next thing, I believe that having more eyeballs on the monkeys in streams, in tweets, in whatever, would lead us eventually to advertising sponsors and get us to that point of financial viability. So it was important to me that we have a fairly aggressive, I'm going to call it public media, social media campaign. Now, people, who's involved here? Well, it started out, Lord Humongous and Hard Time, they're going to run the clan. What am I going to do? I'm going to run the org. So that is exactly how we set this up. So those are the foundations. Now, this is a horribly long and awful list. But people, many people have asked me what's involved in running an org. So ever since this happened, I'm getting DMs left and right about what's involved in running the org. Well, Deja, you don't have to watch it if you don't want to. Okay, so what's involved in running the org? So I'm going to read these very quickly. Registering for every league or tournament that we could cram into our schedule and serving as a clan rep for it. Arrange and initiate every tournament or league war, which is 2 to 5 per day at the end of the day, reporting the results. Stream or make sure that the wars are streamed. This is eyeballs. Develop buy graphics, stream overlays, tweet banners, PFPs, emotes, etc. Creating tweet graphics for every war, sending pre-tweets to drive viewers to streams, sending post-tweets to report the results. Highlight player and team accomplishments in tweets and videos. Keep and analyze war performance statistics for players in a meaningful way. Set rosters and confirm availability for every war. Run Discord, managing channels, perms, and roles. Maintain a master org roster as people come and go. Create and maintain a process for recruiting and evaluation of incoming players that wish to join. Proactively engage and recruit elite level players. Develop and negotiate contracts with the contracted players like your pro roster. Pay salaries for the contracted players on time. Set and reinforce standards for behavior, sportsmanship, and fair play. Support, encourage, promote, and monitor the social media presence of players, like their tweets, streams, and videos. Kick out players who don't meet performance or participation targets. Create and maintain a merch store and jerseys. Oh, fuck. SCCWL has always been a problem. Be available for consultations and discussions, like when is our next war. Develop and hold a series of event plans needed to host leagues and tournaments. Monitor players, seek out sources of dissatisfaction, work to fix things. And fucking at the end, it's a business. There's accounting and taxes. Okay, now I read through all that. I'm going to scroll up and read some of these comments and see if any of these things are things that need to be responded to. Oh, I'm the Carol Baskin of the COC community. Isn't that nice? That's nice. I did say that denigrating language toward me was totally included. You can do that all you want. Who the fuck is going to read that? Yeah, don't read it. I just read it to you. I'm looking for attention. Oh, yeah. Yep, facts. Okay, I've got facts here. I'm reading. Is there anything here that I need to respond to yet? Snowflakes. Chat full of simps. Huts. Snowballs. Blah, blah, blah. Talk about cancer. Okay, I can't keep up with all of this. Just say my part. Okay, you need a mod. I have two, I don't know where they are. And anyway, nothing that's happened so far is outside of the realm of what a mod would take care of. All right, I probably will cry, cat. No need to bet on that, it'll probably happen. All right, so all of those things that I just talked about are what we were doing starting in December of 2020. And in December of 2020, kind of through, I'm going to say March of 2020, we were trying to get this org up and running. We were trying to get the clan up and running. We were trying to, what the hell? That's Curly. Okay. We're trying to get everything going. And at the time, Hardtime and I, we were really trying to get this going without paying any player contracts, because we did not really have a path to anything that was financially viable. There was no income, so we were trying to do this without contracts. We tried that through about March, and you know what? It just wasn't working. It just was not working. So starting in April, we started contracting a couple of players. And our first player signed on April 1st. The second, I think, was April 10th. The third, like April 20th. And then the third and fourth on the 20th. And we grabbed a fifth one in May, in the middle of May. Okay, so that's when those player contracts started. I started them off at 3 months at a pop, thinking that, you know, it would take us 3 months to know if we liked the player and if the player liked us, and then we could decide what to do next. So our first player contract did finish, and that first player re-signed. This is now player number 1. Player number 2 signed and then re-signed. Player number 3 and 4 both signed together. Player 4 did not re-sign. Player 4, at the end of his contract, decided to very respectfully and in a perfect way decided to not renew, and he moved on to a different opportunity. And player number 5 did sign, but never came to the end of his contract. So you're asking about why players 6 and 7. Okay, player 6 chose to not sign. I offered player 6 a contract, and player 6 chose to not sign. Player 7, you know what? I don't think player 7 was so interested, to tell you the truth. So there you go. Yeah, never had a contract because he didn't want to sign it. Okay, so I'll just make that very clear, that there was a contract on the table that was not signed because he did not wish to sign it. But yes, dog did it right. Yes, okay. All right. So that's what happened with the contracts. Now, in June, So you'll see right here in June, we go to our first world qualifiers with this team. And this team is, you know, good. We make it past the first weekend. They buckle down and they do a lot of stuff. Get to the second weekend and we lose at the round of 64, which was kind of that was very deflating. Okay, we just weren't not expecting to lose that soon. But the team started to gel. And so we decided at this point is that we were going to keep that team together for the following month. Even though we didn't make it past the round of 64, we were going to keep that team together for the following month. And so we did. And we get to July, and July we make it all the way and get a qualifying spot in Poland. All right, so we got this qualifying spot in Poland. 8 days later, I have no roster. Roster's gone. This is the day everything blew up. And if you move all the way out here to the end of September, you see exactly when Poland is going to happen. So that is kind of the timeline on how this happened. We had a big build-up. Took a long time to get built up. Didn't get it there in June. Got there in July. Everything imploded. Okay. So let's see. Am I anything I'm missing here? Because I can't tell. Okay, we're getting a lot of Fs. That's nice. Flash says the issue you have is people slating monkeys as a whole, and they seem to have issues with one or two people. I would agree about that, Flash. It treats it as a whole. So, okay. So, why wasn't Tommy offered a contract? Because Tommy has extremely limited availability, and it felt really unfair to offer him a contract after he already had a spot in Poland, to tell you the truth. It felt like why would he want to sign that? So that would be why, but he's got very limited availability to play. Oh hey, Toby. Toby's going to slow it down. Thanks, sweetie pie. All right, so that is the timeline. That was the overall timeline. Let's move on. I'm going to talk about the magic, okay? Because the magic that this team had was so fucking awesome. I was lucky enough to be next to this magic. I was lucky enough to watch this team come together in the July qualifiers, and that team together is more than the sum of their parts. They're more than each individual can be alone. When they are on, they are cool and they are focused and they are laser sharp. They have these moments of incredible intensity followed by this brevity. They've got, you know, Curly, if you don't want to hear it, just go away, okay? If you don't want to hear it, go away. You don't have to be here. You're here of your own volition, so if you tell me you don't want to hear a story, go away. I'm here to tell my story, so if you don't want to hear my story, just get the fuck out. All right, thanks there, RT. So, moments of intensity, followed by these moments of brevity. Like, they would really, really, really be focused, and then, all of a sudden, there'd be like a joke, and it would be this really lightness, and it was beautiful. And yes, Kat, you probably can see it now. You can probably see this magic, because this magic is so powerful. This team together was so powerful. They work together, and I'm going to say they work almost like a complex organism. The way they interact with each other it's beautiful. Now there's 6 of them, but you only need 5 for a team, but the 6th one's always there too. He's always there because they are a team, and they support each other, and it is amazing. I perceive that when this team has their magic, they are unstoppable. I think they've got the skills, they know what to do, and when they find these moments of magic, I'll tell you what, I am completely in awe. It was overwhelming about how great this was. And see, Lucas is agreeing with me. It's overwhelming how great this team magic is. So this is important, okay? Because team magic is not something that comes along every day. So it was amazing. And when they won that qualifying, you know, I thought about how happy I was for them and how happy I was for us. And honestly, how proud I was that they came together and that I was part of it. You know, I was part of bringing this team together, and I was so proud of that. So I incredibly pleased that I had anything to do with bringing that team together. And see, I'm even tearing up now because of how cool it was. So, anyway, that's the magic, and I think it's important that we talk about the magic. All right. So what happened and why did they leave? And I'm going to tell you that I don't know. And then I'm going to tell you I still don't know. And I'm going to say I fucking still don't know. And I don't know. And the reason I don't know is because I don't believe the reasons they gave me. I just don't believe the reasons. So I'm going to walk through the reasons. We're going to talk through the reasons because I don't know why they left. And maybe you all can help me to understand why they left. So here we go. I'm going to fill in. Now, I'm going to do this. We're going to circle through this, okay? First of all, I'm going to add a high-level talk about the facts. The facts of the situation as best I can tell them, as best I can see. Then we're going to circle back around, and we're going to add in a little bit of additional detail around the facts that I think are kind of relevant. And then we're going to circle back around, and I'm going to add in conjecture. So that is the intent here, is facts, followed by more detail, followed by where my conjecture comes into place. So, so I can't follow what's going on here with Kat. I don't think that's important to me. Wait, you understand each other though, right? Why left? Let's see, Lando, because I'm going to tell you what I heard today, and if it's not the truth, then you're going to hate the rest of this presentation, my friend. All right, so filling in some of the factual details. 19th is the day that we win this qualifier. And I'm going to say we because I feel like I'm part of the team. And the team that's now not part of us is going to get all pissed and say you didn't do shit. And that's fine. I'm still going to say we. All right, that was the 19th. 23rd rolls around. We've got a war. All right, we have a war. And player 2 and I have, and I'm not going to call out these players by name. If you wish to self-identify, go for it. But I'm not going to call you out by name. Player 2 and I, although some of you are going to know who they are. Player 2 and I have a disagreement immediately before this war regarding a concession that I made to the opponent during negotiations. Player 2 decides that he is not going to participate in the war because of this concession, and we nearly have to forfeit. Player 3, who was not scheduled to play, somehow miraculously shows up at the last minute. We have a war without Player 2, and we win. I'm angry with Player 2 about this disagreement and his unwillingness to war. Player 2 remains very angry at me about the concession. Player 2 has weekend plans, and Player 2 goes silent until Sunday, which was expected. We knew he had weekend plans. Okay. What's going on here? Lando, Scroll Man, you want this around? I don't know what that is. I'm not following. What is a concession? A concession is when you're in a negotiation with the other team and they ask for something that is a little unusual. So, you know, like you want the war at 3 o'clock and they want it at 2 o'clock and you agree on 2:30, that's a half-hour concession. No, not snacks. Not snacks. And I will get more into exactly what this concession was in a few minutes. But sometimes when you're the clan rep, there are things you do. So, for instance, this is another concession that I once made. We were in a war against, I don't know which war it was, but one of our opponents had an immediate disconnect. An immediate disconnect and never, ever, ever dropped a troop. And so I made a concession to allow them to use their second hit because that's only fair and sportsmanlike. So that would be like a concession because that, of course, would not be in the rules. All right, there's concessions. Did the team agree to the concession? No. Okay, so those are the factual details. First, on Thursday, July 23rd, when we had the war. Okay, a few more factual details. Friday, July 24th, Saturday, July 25th. Now, so player 2 and I are not talking at this point because player 2 is gone. I'm reaching out to the rest of the team, which at this point are players 1, 3, 5, 6, and 7, to try to determine what they think about this disagreement. I want their feedback. I want to understand their perspectives. And let me tell you, they are completely unresponsive. Okay, they are ignoring all my attempts at communication. They are not giving me any feedback. They are not sharing with me any concerns. They are simply quiet. They are unresponsive. I am seeking out information. I am seeking out perspectives. I'm seeking out concerns, and I am getting back nothing. So player 4 at this point, Specky, his initial contract term had expired, and player 4 had already left. So he left very respectfully and in a really, the best way a player transition could happen was what happened to player 4. And not rip player 4. I think player 4 is doing just fine, and I like player 4. So they were unresponsive to all my attempts at communication. Now the rest of the team does show up to war on July 25th. We do win it, but I actually perceive the team to be on edge, which is not surprising considering I've been trying to talk to them all weekend and they're not talking. Sunday, July 26th rolls around. Remainder of the roster still not communicative. Wars are attended to at a minimum level, and actually with some rudeness to substitute clanmates. So since we had a clanmate out, there was absolutely some rudeness to the clanmates that were left, and I apologize gravely to those who had to fill in that day. Player 2 and I. Player 2 comes back from his weekend. Player 2 and I have a 90-minute voice discussion regarding the disagreement. Player 2 begins and ends the discussion saying that he cannot return to ScoRpioNMoNkeyS, that we cannot work through the disagreement, that he needs an indeterminate amount of time before he can consider a return. He insists that he has not asked the remainder of the team to follow, and he insists that he does not know what he will do. That's the fact. I will get more into detail on that on the next round. Monday, July 27th. Player 2 streams with the title, Forging a New Path, Day 1, and don't ask about the title, I have no answers, legend hits. So it becomes clear that his final answer is to leave, that the indeterminate amount of time was going to be something less than or more than the day or whatever. Big Tommy, yes, you have a player number, but I'm not going to tell you which one it is because I'm not telling anybody who's anybody. Let's see, yeah, figure out who player 2 is. Okay. So that stream happens, and I am very shortly thereafter informed by the rest of the team that they will be leaving ScoRpioNMoNkeyS, that their minds are made up, and it is clear to me that I cannot convince them to change their minds. So at this point, what has happened. Okay, do you guys want me to tell you who's who? If you want me to tell you who's who, then I will. I'd be happy to. So it is pretty obvious, yes. No, it's pretty obvious. You can fill it in. All right, so I'm informed by the team that they're going to be leaving ScoRpioNMoNkeyS. Their minds are made up, and I can't convince them. There's just nothing I can do at this point. Yes, there will be Q&A at the end. So, what happens on my side? There is this immediate aftermath, okay? I have to make a decision. I have just lost the pro roster. It is gone. Are we going to go with an amicable separation, or am I going to go with fuck these guys? Okay? Which are we going to do? All right? Well, there's some inputs into this decision that made me have to choose one or the other. The first input, I do not know at this point what is going to happen to the clan or the organization. I need to preserve whatever value I can preserve for the longevity of the organization. We're in a lot of leagues. We're in a lot of tournaments. Withdrawing from those early means you end up on a ban list. That limits future options. Since I don't know what we're going to do, I don't want to be on all those ban lists. Fluxy, I'll get into that whole incident a little bit later because it does come up again. So you don't have to keep bringing it up because I'll get into it, and I do freely admit it. So the next input is that I have this personal commitment to limiting toxicity in our communities. Now I know someone's going to say, no, you don't. You're like an old fat blimp cunt and you're constantly creating toxic environments and you're the worst thing ever. But although I do not always achieve the ideal, I do have that as a commitment. So at this point, a fuck these guys attitude might feel good in the moment, but long term, a fuck these guys attitude is going to burn bridges. It forces bystanders to choose sides, it ramps up the drama, and the Clash esports community is small. I decided to try to not fuck these guys. So I chose amicable separation as the way we were going to go. Once the rosters decided to leave, being respectful really costs you nothing. Once they have decided to leave, you've already lost them. No amount of swearing, no amount of blaming is going to bring them back. Attempting to damage them as they leave does not bring any additional value to you, and therefore its only purpose is revenge. And revenge is a game that never ends. So in the immediate aftermath of this, I decided that we were going to go for an amicable separation. So what did that look like? What does it look like? Well, I put out the tweet. That said, well, I don't know, Amy. Is that what you think this is? Have I done anything like that yet, Amy? Or are you reading into what you think is going to happen here? Because my intention here is to tell the story. And I don't have all of the story because not all of it has been shared with me. But my intention here is to tell the story. Now, I am a little salty, and I try to keep that down a little bit, but okay. So I sent out this tweet, the amicable separation. See, Lucas, you gotta love Lucas. Thank you, Lucas. So I sent out the tweet. I sent out we're saddened to share the news that Lando, Demo, Lucas, Sim, Big Tommy, and JVS have decided to part ways with ScoRpioNMoNkeyS and forge their own path as silent snipers. We would like to thank them for their past contributions to ScoRpioNMoNkeyS and wish them well in their new path. They will be missed. All of which was absolutely true. And it is still true. So we were saddened. We're still saddened. They are parting with us. They're forging their own path. That they are. We need to thank them for what they did for ScoRpioNMoNkeyS because it was pretty dang cool, and I loved really being close to the magic. And I wish them well on their new path. And I miss them. That is all still true. Why did they leave? Yes, you know what? Just keep watching. Okay, just keep watching. I'm getting to it. But you can't just dive right in because it doesn't make sense if you don't give it the context. All right, so amicable separation. I work directly with player 5 and the league communities to transfer the commitments, saving trouble for the leagues where clans dropping out can be a problem. And that preserved future opportunities in those leagues for ScoRpioNMoNkeyS by not having a withdrawal on our record. So that was the first part of it. That particular action has caused the most criticism from the ScoRpioNMoNkeyS roster for what I did. They really do not understand why I would transfer those league commitments to the new clan. They're like, why are you helping them? Fuck those guys. Those were our spots. Oh, yeah, sorry about that, Matt. Yeah, Matt, okay. Shit, you're right, that's a day early. It sucks. I got confused. Okay. You want me to fix it? I'm not going to fix it. Just pretend it says the 27th. Okay. But this is the thing that I took the most criticism for inside, is the fact that I did not withdraw or forfeit all of those wars and instead chose to transfer those to the silent snipers. Those are the things that that I have taken the most internal criticism for. And Specky was even there. I was trying to be nice about this, Specky, and I blew up in the WCL server. I know I did that, and I'm sorry. There's really no excuse for that. But I was trying really hard. Okay, so that's what the amicable separation started to look like. And you're all like, but, they were under contract. You gave them everything. What the hell's a contract worth, right? Snow Havoc, they had to be transferred because monkeys, so some of them have roster change limitations. So if you lose the entire roster, but you're only allowed one player change, you can't support it, and you'd have to withdraw. And in other cases, I just knew we weren't going to be able to support. We would end up forfeiting a lot. That's why. So yes, there is always going to be drama and toxicity. I'm trying to make this as equal as possible and be very clear when I have conjecture and very clear when I have facts. So this is my point to give. Yes, this is to give my perspective because people wanted my perspective. So that's what I'm here for. And if you don't want my perspective, go. You don't need to stay and watch. If you don't want my perspective, just leave. Okay. So they were under contract and I gave them everything. What the hell's a contract worth? Well, first of all, 4 out of 6 of them were under contract. 2 were not. And my question is, how can you force a gamer to play their best game? And the answer is, you cannot. You can have them under contract, you can probably make them show up, but you can't force them to play their best game. How can you contract magic? And the answer to that is, you can't. So, ultimately, the things that you really want out of your pro team cannot really be contracted. Initiating legal action against individual players halfway around the world is not cost effective. It is not timely. The idea that I was going to bring a lawsuit against a 17-year-old Belgian is absolutely ridiculous. So the point of the contract, the reason you have a contract, is it represents a mutual commitment, right? It represents my commitment to the players on what it is that I am going to do. And it represents, on the player side, their commitment about what they are going to do. Now, do you have to have it be something that can be legally enforced in order for it to have value? I'm going to say no, you do not. So, Fluxy, no, the commitment did not work out well because the commitment on my end was basically held up. So, the question is, I've got these contracts. The players don't want to live up to their ends of those contracts. And so what can be done about that? Well, in this particular context, I really found only one thing that I could do. And what I found I could do was to contact ESL. So you know how I said that the transferring of the league commitments over to Silent Snipers was the thing I took the most internal criticism for? I am pretty sure that the thing that pissed off the leaving team the most is the fact that I contacted ESL. So why did I contact ESL? What did I contact ESL and say? Well, this team won a ticket to Poland under the ScoRpioNMoNkeyS name. Yes, I know all of this. I, of course, know all of this. It doesn't mean that the contract has no value just because it's not legally enforceable. Correct, Burrs. Minors cannot play ESL. Okay, so this team did win a ticket to Poland under the ScoRpioNMoNkeyS name. The player contracts dictate that the player will play only for ScoRpioNMoNkeyS and will play for no other competitive clan or org without my consent. Silent Snipers did not have my consent. So I alerted ESL that allowing a name change for this team would violate player contracts for 2 out of the 5 players. Prior to that action by me, none of the players acknowledged that their actions or intended actions would violate the contract terms. None of them said anything about the contracts. They wanted to walk away and pretend that we did not have a mutual commitment. After this action, we entered an active negotiation regarding the contracts. Fluxy, it's not a real contract, so they do not need your consent. Okay, thank you for that, Fluxy. I really appreciate the fact that I made a commitment to the player and the player made a commitment to me. We are calling that a contract in this context, and I paid them as I said I would, and I did every other thing that I said I would do in that commitment. If you wish to call that something other than a contract, fine. But I did tell ESL this. And, I've blown up the timeline over here so that you can see the... Amy, the answer to your question is 1. There is one who is a minor. That one was not part of the world's team, so we had a mutual commitment. So you can see that this overlaps, right? You can see that the timing of Poland over here overlaps with 2 of the players' contract terms. So I did indeed contact them. I told them that about the contract issue, and that forced an active negotiation with the team. No, I did not. Here's why. Why did I contact ESL? All right. This is important because why would you do this? You're thinking, oh, because she's a bitch and she's vindictive and she lost her roster and she's a crybaby. Okay, that's what you're thinking. That's what they were all thinking. But esports orgs have expenses. Esports orgs have revenue. So the expense column involves player contracts, graphics work, extras like bases, like merchandise, like jerseys. It involves other staff. There's expenses. And then they have revenue. And the revenue side of this has a percent of winnings for contracted players. It has potentially advertising and sponsorships. It would potentially have merchandise sales. And it would potentially have streaming revenue if you're structured that way. So the thing is that by not having a ScoRpioNMoNkeyS team in Poland, we end up losing out on the percent of winnings that would have been something that had been agreed with the players that were under contract. I'll use this in quotes just for fluxy. And we especially lose out on the opportunity for the advertising and sponsorship dollars. So the ability for me to go out and get a sponsor and slap that logo onto a jersey went right out the window. Okay, so this move by the roster severely undercut the value of this organization. It undercut the potential revenue that we could bring in, which would allow us to pay more to our players. So at this point, we still do not know what we're going to do with ScoRpioNMoNkeyS organization. We don't know what we're going to do with the ScoRpioNMoNkeyS clan. Preservation of value is important if it's going to be an ongoing enterprise. So Amy, I am not going to talk specifically about what was agreed with any specific player, and the reason I'm not is because I find that to be a violation of a confidence. If they wish to share it, they're welcome to. I did not sign any of these people to confidentiality agreements. They can talk all they want about what they did or did not agree to, but I'm not going to tell you how much any of them made. I'm not going to tell you what they agreed to, because I think that's a violation of confidence. So there we go. At this point, we do not know what we're going to do with the organization. We don't know what we're going to do with the clan. Preservation of value is important. That's why I contacted them, because I might want to do this again. And if I'm able to preserve some value, there's the potential I could pay another pro roster. If I'm not able to preserve any value, I can't pay another pro roster. Whoops. So we had the active negotiation. I eventually agreed. We came to an agreement. So here we go. Later aftermath. The decision to end the organization. All right. Before this whole thing happened, we were an up-and-coming org with a Poland qualified team and a solid pro roster. We had revenue opportunities that could offset the costs. After, we had a no pro roster, we had a no Poland. We had a clan roster with some pretty good players, but we did not have any ready teams, and we had a significant reduction in our revenue opportunities. So the question is, did we want to do this again? Big Tommy, you are player 7. Since you keep asking, you're player 7. Okay, did we want to do it again? Do we want to start over with recruiting? We had a brief discussion about finding a plug-and-play contract-ready pro roster. Had one we were kind of talking to, but we just weren't ready for that, and the candidate pool was not very deep. So we moved on from that. The clan leader does not want to do this again. He does not want to recruit. He says it's too much effort, and he's done. Okay, so I've got a clan leader who doesn't want to do this, and then I personally have some reasons for ending this organization, which is there's some minor differences with some of the other leaders. Those would be tolerable under good circumstances. They'd be things we would work through. But if I'm starting over, it's going to be in a new place with new partners. So we did make the decision to end this org. So what happened? What happened? You're still like, what the hell happened here? All right, well, I'm going to talk about the list of demands, because this list of demands has come up a couple of times. Oh, Dissectatron, yes, I can answer that question. What did ESL say? Well, I did not go completely down the path because I got my desired outcome beforehand. My desired outcome was not retribution and preventing that team from playing. My desired outcome was was essentially to get them to negotiate a graceful exit from the contracts, and we did that. So I have all of the information that I need to contact ESL, but I did not chase it down to the bitter end. Let's see. Flyer player 8. Yeah, Huts. Okay, VW didn't get a response. Let me go back up and see what you asked me. That shows a lot to me. Player, where are you, VW? I'm not fine. Can you retype your question, VW, because I have lost it. And I'm missing out what Deja's saying, that everybody's saying. What's wrong with joining clans and leaving until you find what you like? There's absolutely nothing wrong with joining clans and leaving when you find till you find one you like. There's sort of a problem if you make a commitment to stay and somebody pays you and then you decide to leave. That's sort of a problem, but just moving clans is not a problem. VW, are you going to retype that question? Because you claim I ignored with something, and I would really like to address it if there's something there. If not, I will move on. Dissectatron, I am not going to reveal those because I think those are personal details that the players themselves can reveal if they wish. All right, I don't have another question from VW, so what? It's the only novel. It's the only novel. Yep, I don't have that. I don't know what you're saying. So I'm going to move on. So fiction was HT informed of no communication from either side. HT knew we were having difficulties, of course. I don't, like, what did I actually tell him or not tell him? You know what, we talked about it. But okay, so here we go. What happened? The list of demands. I would like to remind you that I had no communication from this team from July 24th through 26th. They all decided to leave on the 27th, and on the 28th is when I received this list. I received this list after all the decisions had already been made, after all the actions had already been taken. That's when I received this list. So, you know, I don't understand why this list is even relevant, considering that it appears to have been not communicated to me. Because I could not even begin to address this list. So here is the deal. Here is the list. Reduce streaming of non-essential wars as the team preps for Poland. Okay, that's kind of a no-brainer. That would be super easy. They don't like it that the entire ScoRpioNMoNkey roster, all teams from top to bottom, are streamed and carry the same name. There is an assertion that some of the teams don't meet a minimum performance benchmark. Okay, so we are looking at this and I'm thinking, well, that is something that, you know, my commitment to eyeballs is something that makes this one harder, but we could certainly talk about that. There's other ways to get around it, so that could be talked about. The next item, we're in too many leagues and tournaments and want to focus on fewer but more important and don't like 10v10. Okay, now this one really makes me angry. Okay, what makes me angry about this one is that I literally asked this team every fucking time before I signed them up for a league or a tournament. Every goddamn time. I said, hey, here's one. Do you guys want to do this? And I would say, hey, I'm thinking about not signing you up for this because you're kind of busy. And you'd be like, no, we want to play. No, we want to play. No, we always want to play. So this one, you know what? It just irritates me because I asked you every single time if you wanted to be in one. And so now you tell me you're in too many. All you had to do is say fucking no. Okay, the next one. Don't like it that the statistical analysis includes longer format wars. We all know that I was changing that statistical analysis regularly. And depending on the question answered, I would change it. So the idea that I would not change that is silly, patently ridiculous. So then the last one is the one that we probably need to dive more into, right? Disagreements between the team and KTM. Okay, well, let's go into that next. But first I'm going to check in on the chat here. Let's see. They're not demands, they're reasons. Oh, they're reasons. Okay, well, Demo, they still piss me off because they're things that I clearly could have fixed. I could have fixed had they been communicated to me before you'd already left. Wait. You're telling me that you and SM reactions are considered to be amicable? I'm only going to speak for myself on this as I watch this all go down. I probably had an upper hand in knowing more information. The fact that you end up kicking Kat from the clan during a war where she had hits, that isn't amicable, that's emotional. No, I don't know your side or SM, but from what I saw, she became an outcast for supporting player 2 and friends. So VDub, I have forever had a problem with dualies. And dualies, are the accounts that are playing in more than one competitive clan. And the reason I've got a problem with that is because information can be passed back and forth that is untoward and can lead to non-fair play conditions. And in this particular case, Kat was being very disruptive. She was being disruptive in the server. She was being disruptive. And the reason for the kick was not that she was supporting player 2 and friends. It's that she was being disruptive while doing it. So I can see how you would see that differently, but when you're trying to prevent more disruption from happening, having her in the clan and in the server was additionally troublesome. So, okay, now I'm missing things. I got it after the fact. Yes, I did get it after the fact. I don't know what this is the thing that people are referring to as the list of demands, but I got it after the fact. So, as one of the few examples to show my emotional response non-amicable. You're saying I don't have a right to your feelings. I can show them how you please, but watching how you treat a Kat, a clan friend involved in so many ways, is kicked for what? Yes, is kicked because it was disruptive to have her there. Why is the most honorable person in ScoRpioNMoNkeyS server an honorable clan friend kicked? Okay. Maybe it was something I didn't notice, but I promise you I read all the chats all day and didn't see that. Okay. Yeah, you did not dissect a Tron. You're not in the server or in the clan. There's no way you saw it anywhere that I saw it. Okay, so I'm going to move on here because I think we have caught up. And we've caught up to the point where disagreements between the team and KTM come up. So this is going to hurt some of your feelings. I'm going to talk about all the disagreements I can remember that we had. So here you go. Disagreements that I remember, not player 2. We will get into player 2 later because that list is very long. But the rest of the players, here's the disagreements that I can remember. First of all, I reprimanded player 1 privately for using the N-word on his live stream. That was a clear violation of a contract clause. It was approximately on July 2nd. Part of the reprimanded contract language subsequently was turned into a stream meme about which I was really, really, really unhappy. And so there was some conflict around this because I was really unhappy about the stream meme. Discussion with player 1 in early July about the contract terms, stating that he needed permission to war outside of ScoRpioNMoNkeyS. I think player 1 sometimes forgot that he had a contract and forgot that there were clauses in there about what he could and could not do. So I did have a discussion with player 1. I suppose one might have considered that to be a conflict. Player 4 and I had a few rounds of jokes that went too far, and one or the other of us got our feelings hurt. Hard to keep up with player 4. He's sharp as a tack. The timing of this was all prior to July 20th when he left on good terms and his contract expired. I find it really hard to believe that my rounds of jokes that went too far with player 4 end up being a reason for the remainder of the team to leave. Player 6, prior to the June qualifiers, communicated a fair amount of dissatisfaction at not making it onto the top roster for every war, for everything. That kind of went away after the June qualifiers when player 6 did make it to the top roster for every single war. So I kind of find that to be unlikely a reason to leave. And players 3, 5, and 7, I honestly have no recollection of conflict with any of them prior to them leaving ScoRpioNMoNkeyS. So when I look at this, I'm like, okay, I had 2 little incidents with player 1. I had a bunch with player 4. Player 4 is no longer here. Player 6, we had some incidents, but that kind of went away. Players 3, 5, and 7, I don't think I had any conflict with. So when I look at this, I go back up and I look at the list of things, their reasons for leaving, which are all very easily remedied, coupled with this list of so-called conflict and disagreements, it's like there's not enough here. There's just not enough here. None of these seem like reasons for these players to leave. The laundry list of complaints and these disagreements just don't seem like enough reason. Okay, there we go. So that was not player 2. Now we're going to get into the fun part. We're going to get into player 2. This is the part you've all been waiting for, right? Disagreements with player 2, part 1. Okay, there are many, many, many slides with lots of words because there were lots of disagreements. Not lots. There were a few. Okay, so an ex-teammate of player 2 who is still salty about some prior slight is consistently showing up in the ScoRpioNMoNkeyS server and casting shade on player 2. This went on for a couple months. I perceived it to be a minor irritation. I perceived, but player 2 may have thought this was a bigger deal. Okay, I thought this was a minor irritation. Player 2 thought it might be a bigger deal. A few times I did have to ask player 2 to take the high road in these conversations and to be the bigger person and let the jabs come. In retrospect, I should have kicked this ex-teammate from the server much sooner. My tolerance of that person in the server might have made player 2 believe that I was taking the other side. I was not. I just think that if you can handle your harshest critics, you can handle anything. So I also perceive that player 2 to be a much bigger person and a bigger presence than the ex-teammate. Kind of like a gnat and an elephant. So we're going to call the gnat player D. He will play a role again later. So remember player D. And remember how player D is kind of poking jabs at player 2 all the time. Okay? Player D and how I'm thinking he's like a gnat and an elephant. And I'm kind of, I'm vaguely ignoring it because it's just not that big of a deal. But remember player D. Okay, so let's move on to July 5th. July 5th. ScoRpioNMoNkeyS has 7 wars scheduled. 7. Player 2 does not show up to the first war, despite many reminders and DMs and whatever. I am already kind of on edge because we have 7 wars. And it is hard to coordinate 7 wars. And I spent all day on July 4th prepping for 7 wars. And the first war of the day, player 2 does not show up. I am really upset. He finally shows up 13 minutes late. We're just about to forfeit. He manages to show up. And I said something I should not have said. I said to him, go fuck yourself. Should I have said that? No, I should not. I absolutely should not have said that. It was said partially in jest, but there was enough of a core of a truth there that it was offensive. And I freely admit that I was not at my best that day, and I did tell him to go fuck himself. And I know that people make fun of me all the time in streams now and say, hey, you can come here because we need somebody to cuss out this or that person when they're late. And I'm like, yeah, I did that. I did do that. At the time, July 5th, player 2 and I take a couple of days to cool down. And then we had a long conversation about this interaction. Hi, Lucas. Hi, I see you in there. You're initing and uniting and whatnot. I don't know what that's all about. Okay, we take a couple of days to cool down. And then we really did have a long conversation about the interaction. And I recognize that I did something I should not have done. And I also recognize that player 2 has a tendency to expect other people to treat him better than he treats them. However, I knew I did something wrong. I took some actions to prevent the recurrence. And I did this specifically. I limited the number of wars that we would do each day to keep me from getting kind of too far off into the weeds. And I started to use the word duck instead of fuck, which you guys are going to be like, oh, that's stupid. But you know what? If you start having to type duck all the time, you stop saying fuck. So that is what I did. And we kind of did laugh about it afterwards. That was July 5th. Player 2 then renewed his contract on July 10th. So although we had this altercation, this conflict where I told him to go fuck himself, on July 10th he thought everything was good enough to come back. So here we go. What happens next? Part A of July 23rd. So July 23rd is the day everything blows up. And here's all of this extra data and info about what happened on July 23rd. Situation is that we have a war versus the clan of Player D. Remember Player D? Player D is the Nat. Okay. Player D is the clan rep on the other side. I am the clan rep for ScoRpioNMoNkeyS. We negotiate a wartime of 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I am positive that Player D has manipulated their availability to be later in the evening, knowing that I have Europeans on the roster, and it's going to be really late for them. I am positive of this. So, on the day of the war, Player D DMs me seeking an earlier war, he's claiming a medical issue. Now, I do know that we could accommodate that earlier war, and in fact, it would probably be better for us to do that. Because then we can get on voice, it's earlier. But Player 2 is adamant that we do not change the wartime. Well, I don't know if it was faked or not, Fluxy, but it at this point, I think it probably was. So Player 2 is adamant that we do not change the wartime, and I refuse the request of Player D. Now, as the original wartime approaches, Player D sends another request, and he's talking about the medical issue and, how the medical issue is progressing, and asks if I will file a protest if one of their players hits in the first 5 minutes. And I say, no, I will not file a protest. That's fine. You could hit in the first 5 minutes. I'm thinking about this poor guy with his medical issue, needing to get his hit out of the way before he goes and takes care of something. So I, as the clan rep, perceive this to be a reasonable accommodation for an opponent. It's the kind of request and negotiation that is done by clan reps all the time. I perceive there to be no strategic advantage to a hit in the first 5 minutes. It felt to me like a throwaway decision. It felt to me like the kind of thing that you just very easily do as the clan rep. So VW, you're asking me what everybody had to say, and I'll tell you that for the most part, as the clan rep, I don't ask what they think. For the most part, as the clan rep, I just took care of this stuff. And this, to me, felt like a nothing of a decision. It was like not a problem at all, because there's no strategic advantage to hitting in the first 5 minutes. At least that's what I thought. Did I ask? And they said, no, I did not ask. I just did it. As the clan rep, this is my job, is to negotiate wars with the opponents. I did not ask them. I just did it. Okay? And again, it felt like a throwaway. It felt easy. But Player 2 is livid about this accommodation. Livid. He decides he's not going to war. So we now have only 4 players. We are about to forfeit the war. And somehow Player 3 miraculously shows up. Player 3 was not scheduled. I did not think Player 3 was available. But Player 3 shows up. We play, we win. But Player 2 is livid about this accommodation and his perception that I chose Player D over him. I am livid because it feels to me like he's telling me how to do the job of a clan rep, and that he has held our war hostage by choosing not to participate. So I'm seeing a fair bit of criticism of me in the chat for how I approach the clan rep job, and that's fine. The thing that I did that day was no different than what I did any other day. And if we're going to say that my giving this 5-minute accommodation to the other team is enough of an egregious error to cause the entire Poland roster to leave ScoRpioNMoNkeyS, if that is your assessment of that, then that you have every right to have that assessment. But as far as I'm concerned, the job of the clan rep is to make sure that you get a war, that you get as fair of a war as you possibly can. And sometimes that means making an accommodation for your opponent because it's a long game. You run into these other reps over and over and over again. And if you really want to have a respected spot in the Clash community, you can't go fucking over all the other clan reps. So, okay, so I'm going to keep on going here. And in most leagues, negotiation oversight would back the other team. I don't know what 2L's saying. I don't know what that means. I don't think it's a disadvantage. I thought it was actually an advantage to force them to hit in the first 5 minutes. However, we obviously had a disagreement about this. There was obviously a huge disagreement about this because this is the cause of the unraveling as best I can tell. I made a 5-minute accommodation to an opponent and my Poland roster is gone. So, after this, the DM to me from player 2 says, if I am still this angry on Monday, I will not be coming back to Monkeys. And my response to him is, if I'm still this angry, I don't want you back. And the reason we had this is he is really angry at me about this accommodation and in a perception that I have chosen player D. And my anger is related to the fact that he refused to war. You know, I pay this guy to play, and he's just refusing to war, and he's holding us all hostage. It was unreasonable. Was there a hit in the first 5 minutes? Comfort VW, yes, there was a hit in the first 5 minutes. So that is the issue. Yes, Fluxy, that did indeed happen. It is really actually not relevant to this situation, but indeed the wrong person hit in the first 5 minutes. So I was tricked, and as a result of this trickery, player D got immediately kicked from the ScoRpioNMoNkeyS server. There wasn't, okay, so you guys are like getting all into the weeds here. It was a different player than agreed on. I did not agree on a specific player. When I went back and looked at it, I was led to believe which player it was going to be, and it ended up not being that player, which is why I tell you I was tricked. I was tricked by the Nat player D, and the Nat player D has now earned the nickname of Nat because of this. So it seems player 2 was right all along. I'm not going to go there because I still think that I was tricked, but just because I was tricked doesn't mean the action was an incorrect thing to do when trying to negotiate wars with opponents. So anyway, 3 days go by. 3 days go by. I've got a 90-minute phone call with player 2 attempting to find a resolution. I would like player 2 to return. I'm willing to work with him on how we interact to manage our hot-headed conflicts better, because things tend to just escalate with player 2 and I. You know, we have a little bit of a conflict and it gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse, and then we have to have a big timeout, and then we seem to be able to come together. But, you know, there are ways that people who tend to escalate can work together to try to put, I want to call them tools and processes in place to manage those interactions. And I was fully willing to do that, and I wanted to do that. But player 2 began and ended that conversation with the same sentence. I don't think player 2 had any intention whatsoever of coming to a resolution with me. I think player 2's intention was to leave. So the question I have for you is this disagreement enough to make player 2 leave the ScoRpioNMoNkeyS organization? Is a 5-minute war accommodation to an opponent in an off tournament enough to make player 2 leave the ScoRpioNMoNkeyS organization. I mean, he gets to decide that, right? That's his choice. But for me, that's not enough. It's just not enough. So what happened? Why did they leave? I am now going to move into the conjecture. Here is where we get into all kinds of conjecture. I think that the entire roster leaving is a cascade from player 2's decision to leave. I think the remainder of the roster only wanted to preserve the magic, okay? I think that player 2 decided to leave and everybody else just wanted the magic, and that list of demands is really irrelevant. So the question is, does it make sense to you that player 2 and I have a conflict about a 5-minute war hit accommodation and we lose the entire roster? Does it make sense to you that player 2 completed a 3-month contract, was happy enough to renew his contract on July 10th, and then 16 days later finds all of the conflicts so intolerable that he cannot stay? Does it make sense to you that player 2 left and actually thought that the team would not follow? Does it make sense to you that player 2 would give up a spot on a Poland-bound team over this? Does any of that make sense? None of that makes sense to me. None of it. Which forces me to the point of conjecture, with other little bits and pieces of evidence. So this is conjecture. I'm getting more and more and more into conjecture. Because people, well, Fluxy, the reason it matters is because people want to know what happened, and I don't know what happened. I still don't know what happened. I started my presentation out saying I don't know what happened. Okay, so clues and conjecture. I want to talk about the jerseys, all right? I want to talk about the jerseys. So July 12th, we get past the first weekend of qualifiers. July 19th, we qualify for Poland. Between the 12th and the 19th, we are working on jersey designs. We're trying to get these things ready because if we make it, we need the jerseys. We got to have jerseys. You got to order them. They have lead times, right? So we are working on these jerseys. That was between the 12th and the 19th. 21st, 22nd, 23rd, before the blow up over the 5 minutes, wartime accommodation, the team wouldn't give me their sizes. I got sizes out of 2 out of the 6. 2 out of the 6 was I able to get sizes from. And we're having these discussions. Should SimSim 538 be SimSim 538, or does he just want to be SimSim on the front? Does Demolisher want to be Demo or the Demolisher or just Demolisher on the front? So I'm trying to get their sizes so that I can order the goddamn jerseys, because we got to get this lead time going, because just in case we're on stage in Poland, we need jerseys. And even if we're not on stage, we need promotional photos. So what sizes? I can't get the sizes, right? Look at all of these beautiful jerseys. They're gorgeous. But why wouldn't they give me the sizes? This is the conjecture, okay? They knew they were leaving. They knew they were leaving, and they felt guilty about me spending $420 on jerseys that they would not wear. So that's what I think happened. I think they knew before player 2 and I had our disagreement on the 23rd. That's what I think. Next clue, more conjecture. July 20th, we have this agreement that I am going to buy 10 bases for the Worlds team. Why? So these bases start coming in. We start getting bases that come in on the 21st, 22nd, 23rd. Again, before we had our disagreement. And for some reason, I keep saying, let me know about the PayPal. Let me know who I'm supposed to pay. Hook me in so I can do the PayPal. And nobody is responding. So why would I not be asked to pay? Well, this is again conjecture. I think it's because they knew they were leaving. They knew they were leaving before the 23rd came around. They wanted to make sure they owned the bases that were being developed. There we go. So this is total conjecture, okay? We are past the point of fact, and we are to the point of this is the best story that I can possibly knit together. I think the team decided they wanted to leave ScoRpioNMoNkeyS. I do not know why. I do not know why. I believe they knew they were leaving prior to the conflicts that I had with player 2 on July 23rd. I think player 2 found a reason for us to have an argument, and that gave him a reason to leave. This is all speculation, absolutely. That's why I'm calling it conjecture, Amy. This is speculation. I think player 2 knew the team would follow him. I think he knew he would still get a spot in Poland. I think he probably did not ask them to leave. I suspect that he was very clean about that, but I really doubt that he said, please don't follow me. You need to honor your commitment to ScoRpioNMoNkeyS. I think the list of demands from players 1, 3, 5, 6, and 7 seems insufficient to justify their decision. Subsequently, in a stream chat, player 3 clearly states the reason we left is to keep the team together. I believe that's the real truth. I believe the real truth here is that for some reason, y'all wanted to leave. You invented a reason on the 23rd, and the rest of it is just noise. Okay, so let's keep going. Why did player 2 want to leave? This is total conjecture also. This is all made up. This is all speculation. But when I don't have the real reason for why they wanted to leave, I've got to speculate because I'm trying to figure out what to do next. So this is speculation. 3 months in ScoRpioNMoNkeyS, it's kind of an expiration date for this player. Perhaps he reached his expiration point. Drama, such as this, makes good YouTube and Twitch content. Perhaps it drives viewership. That could be a reason. Intolerance of dissenting opinions and unwillingness to compromise. That could be a reason. And it could also be the fact that I have transparent performance statistics. If I'm updating these all the time, then you're seeing them on stream. If you don't like it that your stats are out there, then perhaps you would want to leave. And yes, Tommy's stats are totally OP. This is absolutely true. So that is my point of conjecture. Again, it's conjecture. I don't know the real reason that player 2 wanted to leave. I don't believe that player 2 wanted to leave for the reasons he gave me. So these are my truths. These are my conclusions. You may not agree with them based on everything I presented. You might agree with them. I don't know. I think we created magic here. We created magic. And it was beautiful to be next to. I think player 2 wanted to leave ScoRpioNMoNkeyS. I think the reason for that is unknown. I think player 2 knew the roster would follow him without him asking because of the magic. Once that magic is there, it's like heroin. The idea that that you would not have the magic, I think, is hard for a team that's had it to believe. I think the conflicts that we had were within the reasonable amount of conflict that you would expect when smart, driven, committed people work together. I think that my willingness and commitment to create a more productive relationship was not met with an equal willingness by player 2. We have negotiated an amicable separation with the roster. So this is part of my truth, as we have an amicable separation. I am no longer, I don't want to say I'm not salty. I'm trying to not be salty. At the same time, losing that Poland spot has compromised the revenue-generating opportunities for the org, and we decided to shut it down. I'm going to tell you that I will always advocate and cheer for players 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 as individuals. I really, really, really like those guys. Player 2, I'm having a little more trouble with because I kind of see the actions of player 2 as the cause, and I don't think that what I did was enough to justify that. So I'm having trouble with you, player 2. I will always be a fan of ScoRpioNMoNkeyS, and I am going to miss ScoRpioNMoNkeyS. So, things I've heard said about me that I'm going to got a few more slides here, not too many. I am the worst possible team manager. That is quite possibly true. I've heard it said it's possibly true. That I put other teams' interests in front of my own team's interests, I find that to be a distortion of what happened. I would never put another team's interests in front of my own, but when there's a throwaway thing that you can do without it compromising anything, I might do that. So, okay, Curly, I did not say that I hated Lando. I do not know why you are even beginning to imply that. I did not say I hated Lando. Pavu, Wawa, we don't hate Lando. Foxy, can you let us into Spanish War? SC, go let him into Spanish War League clan, please. Okay, so I've heard it said that I created an environment of constant conflict. I really want to say that that was unsupported by the evidence. Possible exception, player two and I had a couple of rounds of it, but with everybody else, I do not think there was constant conflict on our team. I've heard it said that I don't listen to my team. I will tell you that I was there to listen. That I often had a hard time getting them to talk. I will also say that listening is not always the same as acting. That just because I heard it and felt it and does not mean that I did it. I use my own judgment in deciding what to do based on what I hear and learn. So if the criticism is really that I didn't do everything my team said, that is accurate. But if the criticism is that I didn't listen to my team, I'm going to tell you that I had a really hard time getting them to talk. So, okay, Quaker, I'll do it right now. Because apparently SC was supposed to do it. But apparently he didn't. Okay, so I have to let somebody into a clan because SC's not doing it. Just one moment. Because I do have a few more things here. Very immature to blame one person. I'm not, it's not necessarily blame, it's evidence. The evidence there suggests that it all came down to one thing. And that's making me have a little bit of a hard time. Okay, so I want to say that I do seek continuous improvement. I know that my harshest critics have perspectives that can help me to see things in a different way. My DMs are open. If you are interested in helping me to grow as a person and a leader, I would be more than happy to take a peek at those. Oh no. SC, Quaker, did they let you in yet? I'm looking for this account. Okay, so we're going to move on to my next slide while this is switching over. Okay, he got it. All right, so I want to talk about fault. Because this whole thing that happened is my fault. I either caused the roster to leave or I allowed the roster to leave. In either way, this is my fault. It was my job to get ScoRpioNMoNkeyS teams competing at the highest levels of the game. It was my job to make sure that we showed up in Poland. It was my job to leverage our in-game success into financial viability for the org. I failed to deliver on those objectives, so everything that happened here is my fault. So what's next? Well, for ScoRpioNMoNkeyS clan life continues. Responsibility for league commitments have been transferred to some of the remaining members, and I do wish the best for them. At the same time, I got this funny little DM not too long ago that said, "Hi, I don't know the details, but from what I've heard, I feel like you got shafted. We need people like you supporting the community with your time and efforts. Much appreciated. Would you mind if my NA ESL team used ScoRpioNMoNkeyS as team name this season as a show of support?" So, you know what? I thought this was very sweet. And we did indeed give another team permission to use the ScoRpioNMoNkeyS name in the North American ESL tournament. That does not mean we've signed them. That does not mean they're ScoRpioNMoNkeyS. They are warring as ScoRpioNMoNkeyS in the North American ESL tournament. And I thought it was really sweet. And if there's anybody else out there who wants to do it too, have at it. Let me know you're doing it. I'll send you the logo. Yeah, so that's what's next for the clan. For me, personally, I don't know what I'm going to do. I will separate from the ScoRpioNMoNkeyS as I seek to find my new path. I do not feel like I'm done with Clash Esports. But until I can more clearly figure out exactly what I did wrong, there's just no way to prevent this from happening again. So I cannot figure out what I did wrong. Because again, I think the amount of conflict that we have was kind of within the range of normal. I just, it's like, what did I do wrong? So I don't know what I did wrong. I did something wrong because this is all my fault, and I did something wrong. And until I can kind of identify that a little bit better, I'm not sure what I can do here, because I really do not wish to have this happen to me again, or to the org that I'm responsible for. Why do you get to tell anyone what's... Yep, nobody gets to tell anybody. You get to decide that yourself, but for me, the reasons were not enough. Still haven't signed up. Why would you step out of ScoRpioNMoNkeyS in the time they need you the most? Alex Mighty. Okay, so I addressed this a little bit. And it is that this feels like starting over. It feels like we have lost a pro roster. It feels like we are back to square one. And back at square one, I would like things to be structured differently before I start again. So the reasons I'm stepping away are related to some structural things that I am not interested in keeping going at this point. So it has nothing to do with the players. I really, really wish that I could stay in ScoRpioNMoNkeyS, but the things that I would need to make that happen are not going to come to fruition. So that's why. So VW says the most interesting thing to you in comparison to pro sports, 32 starting quarterbacks in the league. There is only one best. All of them think they're better, should be paid better. Given the real question is how, when they leave, 4 other players don't join them. It's magic, VW. Do they have the magic? Or is it the legit contracts? I don't know. Okay, so that's the what's next piece. And that's it. That's it. That's my presentation. That's my summary, which is that I don't know what the hell happened. It somehow traces to player 2. Because I think everybody else left because player 2 left. I think player 2 wanted to leave. So I guess my answer to the question is what happened to ScoRpioNMoNkeyS is player 2 wanted to leave. So what if you lost that roster? Cheer up, find other people. Yes, so Alex Mighty, there are structural things about the way the clan and the org are set up that I do not wish to continue. We would need to change those structural things, and my attempts to change those are not going well. It's not going to happen. So if I'm starting over, I need to start over. But I do, because that would actually be my preferred route, Alex, is exactly what you just said. Am I blaming player 2 for all of this? Well, player 2 made a choice, and player 2's choice, as best I can tell from the data, is the thing that caused everything else to happen. So blame, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. As best I can tell, it traces back to player 2's decision. And player 2's decision, to me, is confusing at best that you would make that decision based on the little thing that happened. And VW, I see that you're giving the gnat a lot of power here. You're claiming that the gnat is the one who destroyed an org. That's giving the gnat a lot of power. So Curly is saying maybe try not being an ass. Well, am I an ass? Maybe. Blame player D. Player D would be an easy scapegoat, but player D is a gnat. How can you blame a gnat? Would I allow player 2 to voice... You know what? Player 2 has his own place that he can do this. Player 2 does not need my stream to do that. One thing you didn't set off like that. Clearly, yes. See, this is what I think, HBIC. I think they had already decided to go. I don't know why. Or at least player 2 had decided to go, and I don't know why. There was almost a mocking tone in his voice when we had our last conversation. And yes, Amy, he did explain his side. If you listen to it, it's out there. He had the Why Did I Leave ScoRpioNMoNkeyS stream, so you can listen to it. Fennec, thank you for the luck. I appreciate that. Fluxy, he can it's not that it's one-sided either way. I mean, you know well of the Nat. Yes, okay, V-dub. So, okay. Anybody have anything else that they want to say? Any questions? Nobody called me an old fat blimp cunt yet. Now would be a good time. Do I hate Lucas? I do not hate Lucas. I actually love Lucas. I think I did say that I would always be cheering for these players individually, even though I cannot cheer for them as a team. I really do like Lucas. Sometimes. He has a little bit of an ego issue sometimes, but, you know, he's a kid. So, Lucas OP. All right. He is underage. Yes, he is, Fluxy. Well, I'm 50. It's like a son, okay? It's not like not the way you're thinking of it, Fluxy. No more streams? Well, Powerhouse, I won't be streaming the ScoRpioNMoNkeyS anymore, but tomorrow I intend to get on stream and play my lame-ass game and try to get better. Hi, Bramble. See, Bramble's going to join me tomorrow when we're actually playing. Hey, Stash did it. I am an old fat blimp cunt. I'm glad you got that right. I was worried that it wouldn't come into play. So HBIC, this is the thing. I agree with you about that. If you have the right culture, a single gnat can't bring it down. So I'm struggling with the cultural issue, with the issue of what did I do wrong? You know, what, because I mean, I'm sure I did some things wrong, but until I can see what those are more clearly, I don't know how to fix them. Will I ever stream Silent Snipers Wars? I will not. I will not be busy with ScoRpioNMoNkeyS, that is true. I suspect that Silent Snipers has enough people streaming them. What happened to the other 40 plus? Well, we took a break for, I don't know. So you know what, Powerhouse, I don't know. I'm leaving ScoRpioNMoNkeyS myself. Personal retrospective is the first step. Well, this presentation was my first step. It is trying to knit together the data and the information and recognize where I am adding more conjecture. It was my first step. I don't know, but I don't know how to take the next one unless somebody DMs me more info. But that's as much as I can do. I'm putting in good work. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. If Carbon revives ScoRpioNMoNkeyS, will you join back? Fluxy, I will not join ScoRpioNMoNkeyS back unless or until we resolve the structural issues. Regardless of who is doing another recruiting video. If we lost our number one team, they try to throw shade at our reps, they step down. Okay. Tripling. The fact that you're willing to own your part. I freely own that I'm a fallible human being and I fuck shit up all the time. I know that I'm not good, but I also know that even though I'm not good, I am better than many. That's what I know. I'm not good, but I am better than many. I am not the worst. I have heard that I was the worst. I don't actually think that was true. But I am the structural issue. Okay, Curly, thanks. Okay. Dissectatron has a question. Okay, Dissectatron, what would your question be? Many are better than me. Okay, Curly. I hope you find one. Did Player D warn you about anything regarding Player 2 when Player 2 joined SM? Absolutely, Player D did. But Player D turns out to be a misleading and manipulative individual, and I have lost all interest or trust in what Player D has to say. You're looking forward to Science Snipers being streamed. All right, good. Captain Rocket, I would love to hear your question. Who is Player D? I am not going to reveal. If you do not know, then that is not for me to say. You'll notice I did not reveal anybody's names, although some of them are obvious, but I didn't reveal any names. Master shown off. These players do wonderful things in the game. 98% have absolutely no idea how to get things they want from a business standpoint. Great players, crappy business heads. You're seeing what happens when the two don't mix. This is absolutely true. I will recover. I will keep my head up. I just, before I leap in and start trying to start again with a contracted roster, I need to figure out how to manage it better next time so that I don't fuck it up again. One of the things that I've been thinking a lot about is, you know, this magic, right? I talked about this magic. And the magic is a beautiful thing for that team. The magic, you know, it enables performance that is better than it would be. It's just better, okay? This magic. There's something beautiful about this magic. And if you get this magic, your team is going to be better, right? But when you get this magic and then one player gets unhappy, then your whole team leaves because they need the magic. So I'm having a little bit of a hard time figuring out how do you manage this to encourage the magic and yet have the loyalty or have the, you know, the strength of character to live up to your commitments that you've made to an org. And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Are people still confused? Yes, I guess they are, Dissectatron. Oh, we got the reach arounds going on. Okay. All right. We have all kinds of love in the chat. Do we have any other like questions or concerns related to this? Any other blame or aspersions you want to cast my way? Now would be a good time. Will SM recover? Fiction? I don't know the answer to that. My guess, fiction, if I had to give you a straight, honest guess, I'm going to say no. And I'm going to say no because I don't think Hard Time cares anymore, and I don't think he wants to deal with it, and I'm leaving, and so who's going to build it? That's my guess, but... Heyo, Dan. Balance. At some point, players who introduce too much toxicity might need to be cut. You know, this is one of the things I had been thinking. So I had player 2 and I... you know, we had this difference, and he basically said, I might not come back, and I basically responded, I might not want you back. And in the intervening days, what I kind of decided was that I wanted him back for the remainder of his contract term, but that I wasn't going to renew it. So, you know, but the contract is a commitment that you will work through the little things. It's a commitment that you intend to go down this path together. And I was going to live up to my side of that commitment. So, Fluxy, you're hilarious. Where will I play now? I have farm clans that I've been running forever, and I'll play in my farm clans for a while. It took too long to search. Okay. Not gonna waste another year. Can everybody still be friends? I don't know, Powerhouse. I mean, I have said this a number of times. Players 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, I still really, really, really like. I really, really like it. I really, really like them. And I can cheer for them individually. I just can't cheer for them as a team. It's the biggest struggle in management esports. Many of these young players don't understand the meaning of commitment or what a contract really entails. Yeah, that's pretty much true. Yep, Fluxy, you are absolutely right that it was a mutual commitment more than a contract, and that's fine. So Kat's saying Clash is just a game, and I'm going to say it is just a game until you turn it into a business, until you decide to turn it into an org, at which point it is no longer just a game. It is, I want to call it my life's work. And so it can be just a game to you, and it can be my life's work. And I think that it would be odd for me to treat my life's work rather cavalierly. So. Fennec? I heard somebody calling you Fence the other day. That was funny. Oh, it might have been Deja. Was it Deja? I don't know who it was. Somebody calls you Fence. Every game is a game. It's a business. It is a business. Dealing with player 2 is a game. Well, dealing with player 2. So, VDub, in one of the streams, you said something about player 2, which is absolutely true, which is that he's impossible to work with and he's really easy to love. And I don't know if you remember saying that or not, but it is really true about player 2. He is like one of the most charming people that could possibly walk the planet. You know, he is like, you can't help but love the guy. And at the same time, working with him is fucking impossible. So I wish whoever's working with him next the best of luck, because it is not an easy task. I kind of fancied that, I'm old, right? I'm old, I'm experienced, I've led a lot of people, I've managed a lot of people. I had this fanciful idea that I would be better at dealing with player 2 than others had been. That turns out to be completely untrue. Amy, he did not want to sort them out with me. I can't tell you why. I don't know why. He did not want to sort them out. Player 1, player 2. You find it difficult to believe all the issues come down to player 2. I've searched high and low for other things and I can't find them. Because Amy, I think player 2 made a decision for player 2. But I think that because of the magic, the rest of the roster followed. And I think that was a very predictable outcome that player 2 knew would happen. So as much as does it all come down to player 2? Well, it comes down to my interactions with player 2. I mean, there's 2 people involved here, right? There's player 2 and I, at least. But I do think the rest of the team left because player 2 wanted to leave. And because they wanted the magic. So it comes down to whatever happened between me and player 2. And like I said earlier, D-Money, that was on the list of demands. It was there. I threw it out there because it was there. I still wish the best for ScoRpioNMoNkeyS. Hope it works out. Why is player 1 named player 1 when he is not even on the world scene? Because he was my first contracted player. That's why. He's number 1 in my book. Well, V-Dub, I don't know enough about the other situations. You can throw up all the data you want, but what I know about this situation is that the entire roster following player 2 was a predictable outcome based on the magic. That the magic is not going to be enough to outweigh, I will give Fluxy this a week contract. The rest didn't follow. Okay, humongous. Bouncers and tits. Okay, what are you guys talking about now? Well, I'm pretty sure the real player 2 has already stated that he was the player 2, but Are you all player 2? Does that mean, so I guess if you're all saying you're player 2, that means you all would have made the same decision player 2 did based on my giving a 5-minute war accommodation to this particular opponent. Is that what you're trying to say? Was I under contract? Under contract with who? I'm the one paying the contracts, Fluxy. The whole situation is toxic. Well, I'm trying to keep it as non-toxic as possible. You're player 42 or lower? Flash. The entire roster didn't leave. Yes, Huts. This is absolutely true. And like I said, if we could address those structural issues, I would stick around at ScoRpioNMoNkeyS. But I do not see a path to address those structural issues. Thanks, Lando. Player 9000, HTMVP. When did I exactly use denigrating language towards player 2? I don't really think I did use denigrating language towards player 2. I think I did point out a lot of the differences player 2 and I had, but I don't think that I used denigrating language there. I did not call him names. So, and Fluxy, it is very clear to me that the one time that I reprimanded one of my players that was screenshotted and sent to you. And that is fine with me. I think it's funny that you think that's going to upset me. Yes, dog, I am trying to keep it non-toxic and other people keep ramping up the toxicity. Dog Woof Woof needs life balance? Oh, life needs balance. No, it really doesn't. You told Lando to fuck off. I did, and I freely admitted that I told Lando to fuck off. Do you remember that? Do you remember the part in my presentation where I said that I told Lando to fuck off? Because I did do it. And I apologize for doing it. I try to keep things non-toxic. I am an imperfect human. Once in a while, I go off the rails, and I did go off the rails, and I did tell him to fuck off. So, and I did tell Kat to fuck off too, or something similar to that. I did, yes. I freely admit that I have aspirational ideals that I am not personally always able to achieve. I remain committed to those ideals and to getting better as a human, at the same time knowing that sometimes I'm going to backslide. Yeah, D-Money, you know what, I try to not tell people to fuck off, but sometimes it comes out. And usually I try to apologize, and my guess is if Kat would show you the rest of that, you'd see the part where I apologized too. But probably she'll cut that off because it's vilifying without the apology. Comfort V Dub, I'm going to tell you that is not his favorite response. That, I do not think that was his favorite response. Can player D try out for silent snipers? That's a great idea. Player D, silent snipers needs you. Apparently telling Lando to fuck off is the equivalent to calling Juan a modder? I don't know what that means exactly. Hard time, I don't know. Every time I get onto Call of Duty, every time I get onto Call of Duty, it makes me sick to my stomach. And the reason it does is because I used to have so much fun with you and Lord and Lando playing Call of Duty. And all I feel when I'm in there without Lando is loss. I feel loss. And it makes me sick. So I don't know, hard time. I'm not sure. Maybe. We'll see. But all I feel is loss. I feel loss of a friend. So maybe. We'll see. Wouldn't be KTM if I weren't mean. I am sometimes, like, if there's any of you who are perfect people, you should be very proud of that. But I know that I'm not a perfect person. I have tried to be really transparent about a lot of things. Now, Kat's kind of implying that I'm hiding things. I don't think I think I laid out a whole bunch of shit that was my own dirty laundry here. So I know I'm not perfect. it is what it is. You can judge me as you'd like. Hey, Creek. I just gotta shoot people. You're gonna pop in. Yeah, I don't know. I still feel this loss. I know that there's other people that I could play with, but I still feel this loss. Maybe that was the problem, not knowing how much Lando loves hearing that. I only said it that one time, V-Dub, and then I apologized, and we had a lot of conversations, and I fixed it, and so, I don't know. You don't think I have to lose that friendship? I don't know. We got SC gifting subs. SC, I don't know how many subs you've gifted because I sort of was going down my path and I missed it. So thank you for all of those gifted subs because I know there were a bunch. So I have been streaming for 2 hours. I went through the whole story. I shared all of the facts as well as additional detail as well as a bunch of conjecture. I talked through what my truth is. Other people have said things that are different or with different opinions on the same set of facts. There's things there that I did not think were sufficient grounds for the outcome, and other people thought were sufficient grounds for the outcome. There's things there that I need to think about a little bit. You know, it's come up a couple of times that as a clan rep, you maybe ought to ask your team everything before you agree to it. And I don't know if that's the way I manage. So I don't know, I have to think about that a little bit. No hard feelings, just don't want to fight. Yep. It was 2 fights. 2 fights, Lando. Usually you get 3 strikes before you're out. Hard Time does not own a PC. Yep, see, here's your point here, guys. I told you we were gonna miss Lando. He's already saying he's gonna miss us. So that's why I can't play Hard Time. You're welcome, V-Dub. Anybody else have anything? I'm thinking I should shut it down here, but you guys just keep chatting with me. So V-Dub, I'm guessing you're not going to miss Player 2. My guess is that you and Player 2 remain very tight, and that this thing is not going to impact that at all. Put the branch out? I don't know, man. I'm not sure if I'm a big enough person yet, SC. It's been a week. I need more time. Thanks, Creek. All right. You cuddle, okay. Well, I'm done telling my part. There will be no more parts for me to tell, Deja. I am done telling my part. This was the thing that I was telling. So I am done telling. That's why I keep waiting. If there's something else you want to know or hear from me, it should happen now, because this is not happening again. I am quite done telling my side. We all need to move forward. We need to not be continuously looking back. And so I'm done telling. This is it. Thank you, Specky. I would agree with that. V-Dub, you moved to a real friendship. Yep, I see that, V-Dub. I know this to be true. From all of the time that he spent talking about you while we were playing Call of Duty. I know this to be true. You're down to kill Hard Time? Okay, it's a little hard when he's on your team. And now we've got the carbon. Can you tell your story? You know what, Kat? You should get yourself a stream and you should tell your story. Get Deja to stream you telling your story. because if you have one, I'm sure people would like to hear it. SC, you know, SC, I told SC that he needs to stop gifting these subs because I'm on my way out of ScoRpioNMoNkeyS, and it just feels wrong to me to accept all these gifted subs when I'm leaving. But he keeps gifting the subs, so thanks for that there. SC, I appreciate it. I just can't stop. Well, I won't stop streaming. I mean, tomorrow, I already told Bramble that tomorrow I'm going to get on and I am going to work on... So I have literally not really tried anything new with the Zapquake. So tomorrow I'm going to do some kind of a remedial Zapquake attack thing on stream. So yeah. Well, I'm going to stream my hit. Yes, that's what I'm going to do tomorrow, D-Money, is I'm going to play. I'm just going to play. That's how this all started. I was like this old lady gamer sitting in my streaming room playing my games when hard time came along. So this whole thing ends and I go back to being this old lady gamer sitting in my streaming room playing my games. And, you know, the opportunity to hang out with the ScoRpioNMoNkeyS for 8 months came to me because I was an old lady gamer sitting here on stream playing my games. And you just never know what kind of opportunities will come your way or you might notice or think about. You know, I think it was Tuoth who sent me a DM and she said, or maybe it was in a stream, she said, you just got to keep streaming because you plant seeds there. And so we'll just throw out some seeds. We'll see what happens. So that's my intention. I mean, you all know that I am not a pro gamer. I'm a manager. I fancy myself to be a leader. I'm apparently not a very good one, but those are the things I like. But I'm not a pro gamer, and I won't turn into a pro gamer in the next couple of weeks. So, but that doesn't make me any less of a gamer. It just makes me not a pro. I can still game. And, you know, one of the things that has always been part of my my philosophy with mobile gaming is that mobile gaming brings people together and anybody can play. And so the fact that I'm not a pro and I'm still going to play, that's what's going to happen. I am trying to sign up a ESL North American Mobile Open team because I honestly think that whoever I sign up with me has a shot at getting in the top 64 and getting into the money. Because I know for a fact that I am not good enough to get into the top 16, but I'm probably good enough to get into the top 64. So I have 2 people on my team right now. I need 4 more in the next couple of days in order to have my mobile open team play. So I know I'm going to do that. I just don't have the team yet. Thank you, Specky. I appreciate that. I'm awesome now that I am not in the WCL server spouting off shit. I apologize to you again and to Kat for that and to player number 5 for that. That was uncalled for. I got your Discord details. I got your Discord details. I guess I do. Take Gunner. Does Gunner want to play with me? Does he know that I literally suck and that my goal is to get top 64? Because that's the thing, is I just want to get in the top 64. From my team or Superman? Yeah, Specky, that's the issue. You have to reside in the US, Canada, or Mexico. And no, Mr. Gizmo. I don't think I've said Gizmo all day. How are you, Gizmo? You are English. You're not allowed to play in the ESL North American Mobile Open. That is true. So, yeah, there's no chances there. I don't know why they don't have anything for the UK. It's just ridiculous. There's so many really good UK players. I would just love to see you all teamed up. It would be a delight. But for some reason, there's not any UK competition. That's weird. Oh, they just had, the India one started not too long ago, so maybe something will get in the works there. It doesn't seem like it should be that hard. If you can do North America, you could probably do the UK. So yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll be back here tomorrow. Anybody else want one final anything? Gizmo, you'd win 1 of 5. You're lurking, I know. Okay. I have to hit Specky up because Specky's trying to lead me somewhere and I don't know where it is. Someone say, well, yeah, see Flashy McFlash Flash. I mean, so like, 2 on the roster I just lost for UK, and then we got Flash. I mean, there's just like there's a fair number of good UK players. It's a popular game in the UK. So thank you. Why is SC calling me on Discord? Should we put him on? Let's see if I can get him working here. I don't know why it's not showing up on my SC. I can't figure out how to get this going at the moment. Because for some reason it's on my mobile, it's not on the desktop one. Thank you, Humongous. Been a while since you were any good. In the UK, you're either into it or you don't give a crap. Well, that's probably true. You had Bertus. Bertus was OP. Is Bertus still on vacation? Oh, look at this. I managed to like show you all my Discord. Sorry about that. Because Bertus went on like a 3-month vacation or something. Oh, he's angry. Okay. I was angry so last week when all this happened, I was on vacation. I was angry on vacation too. Me and Bertus have something in common. Angry on vacation. All right, guys. I think we've explored everything we needed to explore here. I've said my piece. My piece is now done. You're guessing that's my wallpaper. No, no. That was the end of the presentation. He bullied Lucas? Oh, that's really unkind to bully somebody who is a kid. Thank you, RT. And thank you also for helping out with the moderation today, RT. I would actually like to thank both RT and Toby for helping out with the moderation today. I was quite worried about how that was going to go. So, although that particular child, he can poke somebody really hard when he wants to. So, oh really? We had 2 wars today that the other clans have defaulted on. That's hilarious. No. I did not say that, Lando. There's a difference between making it right and making it understandable. Okay, it's one of those things where it's not. Well, I think bullying is never right, but there's a difference between saying it's right and saying it's understandable. It's understandable why somebody might have that reaction and be unable to control it. Sometimes. Most of the time, he's a sweetheart. Actually, one of the interesting things about this separation is I have seen different behaviors out of Lucas. Now, it could just be what I'm seeing versus what I was seeing before, and it's a different subset. But, he has risen to the occasion a number of times since and done something to really tamp down a potentially explosive or toxic situation in a rather mature way that I was impressed with. And I did actually send him a DM and tell him that. In a way that I had not seen for a while. I had not seen that out of him for a while, and so there's something good going on here too. So, okay. Thank you everybody for joining me. If you have questions or comments or whatever, you can. Well, you guys all know where to find me, right? You literally all know where to find me. I don't really have to type it in here, but I'm going to, just in case there's somebody lurking who doesn't know how to find me on Discord. I'm Christine the Mean 6255. So feel free to hit me up there. I appreciate that you all stuck with this, and for the most part we had a respectful conversation. I don't know about a group hug. I'm not much of a hugger. I give you a high five. How about that? Thanks, guys. This is Christine the Mean. I'm signing off. I'm saying goodnight to the monkeys. Oh, see, Kat started this out with what's the chances that KTM cries? And I said, oh, they're pretty good. And I knew it was going to be right here at the end, because this is fuck. Probably my last monkey stream. Thank you all. See you next time.